in order. If there is someone who is not here for that case, I will skip it to the end. I believe in taking the cases first where people have come down to see us. The city has the burden of proof. They will go first. They can present testimony, evidence, call witnesses to prove their point. At the close of the city's case, it is your opportunity to cross-examine the representative or witnesses from the city. After that, I will give you a chance to tell me anything you would like. You can call witnesses, you can show me photographs, anything that you need to prove your case. After that, I will render a decision. At any point, if you do not understand what is going on, and it's your case, if you don't understand what's going on in somebody else's case, well, I'll explain that when we're done. But if any time, just raise your hand. I cannot give you legal advice, but I can give you procedural advice. I can give you your options as to what you have the ability to do, and then you choose what you want to do. Okay? First order of business is approval of the minutes. I don't know if anybody here has read the minutes because they weren't here at the last time except for the city staff. Does anybody have a reason not to approve the minutes? Okay, hearing none. We will start with the first case, which is Oceanside Inn and Condominiums Association, case number PCDEF 2022-55. Is there a representative from that property?
Yes, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Leanne Wagner, counsel for Oceanside Inn Condominium Association.
Yes, Ms. Wagner. Ms. Hurstein?
Thank you.
And before we get started, who do you have with you, Ms. Wagner?
I have Pete Zahn, the engineer for the project.
Okay. All right. Since the city goes first, if you and Mr. Dunn would mind having a seat in the front row so you can hear everything.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Hurstein, do you mind raising your right hand? Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay. Please proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to ask first that each of the documents provided by the city and the Code Enforcement Special Magistrate notebook for this case be accepted as evidence along with the PowerPoint file. All of the documents in the PowerPoint file, whether presented during the hearing or not, that they be accepted as evidence, most of which have been provided to the Special Magistrate and all of which have been provided to representatives for the respondent.
Okay. Ms. Wagner, do you have a legal objection to the introduction of the packet?
I do not.
Okay, then it will be so received in evidence. For those of you that have never been here before, what happens is the city prepares this book for me, usually 4 or 5 days before the hearing, and it contains the allegations against you as well as the history of the case when the code enforcement violation was first discovered, any interaction between the parties in the attempt to resolve it. So that's what I have in front of me if you're curious. Please proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. And I will also point out that in every notice that's sent, it instructs each of the respondents that they can also provide information into that notebook as well.
Right. Sometimes people do, sometimes they don't.
This is a first compliance hearing for 4 violations brought before the Special Magistrate for an initial hearing back in February 16th of 2023. 2 of the violations of the 4 were for permits which had been obtained and reobtained for work on the bar portion of the lobby remodel. They had expired again, and the work was left unpermitted. Violations C and D were for spalled concrete on the first floor ceiling near the elevator shaft. As at that hearing a year ago, the condo association was given 3 compliance dates: 1 to submit signed and sealed drawings for the concrete repairs and shoring of the area, a 2nd to actually perform the shoring, and a 3rd to permit and complete all of the work and get approved final inspections to rectify violations A through D. So they had 2 dates that they met, and then the 3rd, which was 228 days from the initial hearing to get permits for all of the work and approved final, to do the work also and get approved final inspections to rectify all of the violations. Spalled concrete and the bar area completion were to have been done in October. The first of the 2 compliance dates were met. As I stated, the third called for full compliance on all 4 violations by October 16th. Though none of the 4 actually met that compliance date, an affidavit of non-compliance, which starts on page 4-A29, was generated, but the violations C and D were brought into compliance on October 27th, 2023. So 11 days after the final order date, compliance was achieved for 2 of the 4 violations. Though emails were exchanged and progress seemed like it was in the works and going to be made, violations A and B were not compliant and are still not compliant. Basically, as of first thing yesterday, the replacement permits for the work still have not been received. So we're...
Let me make sure I understand this.
Sure.
Of the 4 violations, I thought all of them had been rectified at this point.
No, this is a first compliance hearing, asking for an order imposing fine and lien. It's a,
Okay.
basically, there were 3 compliance dates. 2 of the compliance dates were met. The third compliance date was for full compliance. None of the 4 violations were compliant by that third compliance date, but 11 days later, 2 of those were brought into compliance, leaving 2 which are still not compliant to date.
Okay.
The property did not make it onto December's agenda for this first compliance hearing, and the association's attorney was out of the country for January's meeting date, so we hand-delivered notice for today's first compliance hearing, and good service was achieved. There's an affidavit for that on page 4-A35. We are, I'd like to actually show you one slide. Actually, I've referred to all of the documents that I need to refer to, which are the affidavits. I can show you other documents if we should need to, but this is really a simple matter of whether or not full compliance has been achieved. The 2 violations which remain outstanding, luckily not the shoring of the spalled concrete or the work on the spalled concrete, that has been satisfactorily completed.
Okay.
But violations A and B were for Daytona Beach Shores building and plumbing permits numbered 2021-1125 and 2021-1266 being revoked, leaving that work unpermitted. Those permit applications have not been submitted. There may have been some confusion on the part of contractors. I've seen a lot of emails. You were provided with more emails probably than you wanted, but just to demonstrate that communication has been ongoing regarding what still needs to happen to bring these into compliance. I do believe that is in the works now, but I haven't actually seen the first permit application. So we are asking for an order number 11 to impose the fines and also additional administrative fees of $99.33 for today's meeting, to be added to already imposed but unpaid fees of $162.89 for total administrative fees owed of $262.22.
Okay. I was under the impression that A and B had been resolved fairly early and that C and D were the problems.
C and D were pertained directly to the spalling concrete.
Right.
C and D have been rectified. A and B rather, for acquiring replacement permits for the expired permits, leaving unpermitted work, acquiring the replacement permits, completing the work, and then getting through final inspections. That's still outstanding, including all the way back to the step of submitting permit applications to get the permits in the first place. That has not happened as of yesterday morning.
Okay. All right, anything additional?
Not at this time, Your Honor.
Ms. Wagner, do you have any questions for Ms. Herstein?
I do not. Ms. Hurston has been wonderfully helpful throughout this process, and I am grateful to her for that. We did understand that today's hearing was simply to either agree or not agree that full compliance had not been achieved by the compliance date, and that mitigating factors would be presented at the second hearing with respect to the imposition of a fine.
That is correct.
So in that regard, yeah, we cannot dispute the fact that we were not in full compliance on the anticipated compliance date.
Okay, I appreciate you saying that. As a word to the second hearing, because I have a lot of people come before me and ask to mitigate fines. The fines are based upon a formula of the amount of days times the amount of the fine. So my ability to mitigate the fine is also based on the formula of subtracting days, okay? So when you come before me, I would appreciate it if you could come up with a number of days that are essentially not your fault. Let me give you an example. Let's say you applied for a permit on Wednesday, and the person that issues the permit from the city is on vacation for 2 weeks. When they come back, they issue you the permit. I would not charge those 2 weeks against you because it is not your fault. It would be it'd be the city's fault because they didn't have the ability to serve your needs at that point. Okay? That's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for my aunt was sick or, we argued for 3 weeks regarding the color of the paint or something like that. Okay?
Understood. And Ms. Herstein has provided the spreadsheet to be used for that. So again, we thank her for her assistance.
Wonderful. The reason I explain that is because people come come here to tell me these emotional stories, and while I feel bad for them, there's nothing I can do. But with a calendar, I can do a great deal to change things. The other thing that concerns me is the unpaid administrative fees from the last hearing.
And honestly, I understood that they were being paid by our client months ago. I will follow up today and ensure that a check is overnighted to the city.
I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Okay, anything else you'd like to say before?
That's it, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. I'm going to, based upon the city's recommendation and the admittance from the respondent, order an order number 11. Did you get this sheet?
Yes, I do.
Okay, all right. Which carries with it the administrative fees of $99.33, and in addition, I believe it was $162.89 unpaid. I'm going to order that both amounts be paid within 7 days. Usually I give you 30, but you've already had quite a bit.
It'll be paid today.
Okay. Sherry, is that good enough explanation?
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much for coming to see me, and I'll see you at the second hearing.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. All right. Next case on the docket is property owner Beachside Coastal LLC, case number PCDEF 2022-61. Do I have a representative here?
Yes.
And you'd be Mike.
Mike.
Mike, who had COVID last time.
Yes.
Okay, how are you feeling?
I'm good with that. I'll let Mike do our thing first.
All right, well,
No more code.
Ms. Herstein, the last time we were here, when there was no representative, looked out for your interest and requested a continuance on behalf of the city, as opposed to me going ahead and imposing all your fines. So I just want you to know the effort that the city makes in making sure this is as fair as possible.
We spoke on the phone again.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
you're welcome. All right. Ms. Herstein, you may proceed. You've already been previously been sworn.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to ask that each of the documents included in this PowerPoint file, whether presented during the hearing or not, by the city for this case be accepted as evidence, most of which have been provided to the special magistrate and all of which have been provided to the respondent's representative.
Okay, sir, do you have any objection to the introduction of the packet?
No.
Did you receive it?
I did.
Okay, great. All right, then it will be accepted into evidence.
Thank you, Robert. Before wasting anyone's time, I was called this morning and advised that this property representative would like to request a continuance, that an attorney has been secured to represent them in this matter, and that attorney is unavailable today, and so I wasn't able to prepare anything for that. It is a
Do we have a
second
notice of
compliance hearing.
appearance or anything that?
I have not. I was instructed that I had been sent an email. I looked in the email box while we were on the phone this morning. Again, the property's compliant at this time regarding this case specifically.
Okay,
So this is the respondent's opportunity for a reduction request. So at the very least, though, seeing that we have fully prepared everything, I would like, if that's the way you decide to go, I'm prepared to take you through the case, but it seems that they are not prepared. If you decide to continue it, I would like to ask for a minimum administrative fee of $79.16 for the continuance, and request, and you can see an affidavit for that on page 4B53. It certainly doesn't cover with the time that the city puts into it. We would have definitely liked to have known sooner. But be that as it may, here we are, and I'm not going to waste any more of anybody's time. If you'd like to speak with Mr. Bretzel, that's fine. If you decide not to continue it, I would like the opportunity to fully put.
of course I'll give you the opportunity. Mr. Bretzel, up to the podium, please. Who's your attorney?
Victoria Zinn, she's been dealing with it for the last month and a half. I called yesterday to confirm today, and the girl in her office said there was a scheduling conflict, and then Victoria told me back later in the day. She told me that yes, in fact, she had other things on her schedule. She told me that she sent an email and a phone call. Whether or not she sent them personally to Glenn or someone else in the city, I'm not sure. I called her office. They don't open till 9.
Okay, I understand. You know, scheduling conflicts occur. This is the second continuance, and we hardly grant any others. And you hired her, and I'm not going to yell at you for her actions, but please tell her that as an administrative assistant telling you that there's a scheduling conflict is woefully inadequate compared to what I expect. I would have expected something on her letterhead, either contacting the city or even myself. I'm not unknown in this community. I've had attorneys call me on my cell phone at home while I'm cooking dinner and ask me for a continuance. But it puts you in a bad position. Again, I'm not going to yell at you, but would you mind informing your counsel that we expect a little bit of effort?
I absolutely will.
Okay. Not your fault. I'm not going to beat a dead horse. Because you're already in compliance and essentially the damage will not continue to exist, I'm willing to grant this second continuance. However, I'm going to order $79.16 within 30 days, which is before the next hearing, please. All right. Thank you very much. I'm not upset with you. You didn't do it, but, you know, the city pays me to get ready, so, you know.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
See you in a month.
Tomorrow? That's good too. Do we need to meet for this concrete?
Call me anytime in an hour from then on.
Thanks.
Before Mr. Bretzel leaves, I would like to go on record that as gracious as you were for offering up your cell phone and your email.
That is not the preferred
that is
method
not
of,
the
yes.
method that we prefer and require. I will actually go on a limb to say, please contact the city with anything. I will
Absolutely.
look for her email, your email.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, I don't want people calling me at home, but any indication is always helpful.
Understood. Thank you.
Okay. All right, the next case on the docket is property owner WLW Capital LLC, CDEF 2023-06.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, how are you? Could you please make your appearance?
Williams, how you do?
How are you? I'm fine, yourself? And who did you bring with you, Mr. Williams?
This is Mr. David King.
Okay, and Mr. King, what is your capacity here?
David King, Rescue Builders, contractor that'll be doing the work on the.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, gentlemen. We'll call you back up when,
If you gentlemen would mind have a seat, I'll let Ms. Herstein present. And Mr. Williams, did you receive a packet?
I did, Judge. I received the document records, exhibits, and pictures, and they seem to fairly accurately depict the circumstances that exist on the property.
Okay. So I take it you have no objection to their introduction to evidence?
objection.
All right, thank you. All right, Ms. Herstein, please proceed.
thank you, Your Honor. So I would like to officially ask that, I know that you have just had this discussion, but that each of the documents included in the PowerPoint file, whether presented during the hearing or not, by the city for this case, be accepted as evidence.
And they will be because there's no objection.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
This is a first compliance hearing for a case which is not currently compliant today. The case began June 9th, 2023, with a notice of violation for 11 violations. An initial hearing took place for this case on August 24th, 2023, for the remaining 10 violations, so one had been rectified before the hearing. The property was found in violation and given 120 days to become compliant or until December 22nd, 2023. The findings of fact is provided in this packet and was mailed to the respondent.
Okay.
I evaluated the property on January 9th after that December 22nd ordered compliance date. 6 of the violations had been rectified. There's an affidavit on page 4C-13 that is for that partial compliance. 4 of the violations had not been rectified, dealing with the roof, which is unresolved, and dealing with the with some dead plants in the planter. There is an affidavit of non-compliance on page 4, beginning on page 4C-16.
Okay.
A notice of first compliance hearing was generated and sent. Good service was achieved with posting for that notice. Pictures of the violations are appropriate to show now, showing you what has been rectified and what has not been rectified. Violation A, weeds over 12 inches high in the landscape bed east of the building. As you can see, the pictures on the left are from early January, and the weeds were all removed.
Yeah, looks quite a bit better.
It does. Oops, sorry about that. It does. They made some improvements. There is still another violation deals with, one of the other violations deals with what's not right still, but there are no weeds.
Okay.
Well, there were not in January. And I've been again in late January, and still they're keeping those weeds down. Violation B, also compliant, siding in disrepair on a large shed near the south of the property line. That has been rectified. Violation C, stucco missing at the northeast corner of the building. All of these items were permitted and have been rectified, as you can see, the picture on the bottom right. Violations D and F are 2 of the 4 outstanding violations. Roof overhang appears to be weakened and may not be fully fastened and supported east building face. And violation F, roof overhang is visibly drooping along the east side. No permits have been obtained, and I will show you, if we don't discuss it directly on the overhead, there is a screenshot of the current permitting activity as of yesterday in the record. And you can see it was covered over in an effort, I imagine, to protect the inside and the units underneath. But you can still see with those red lines that there's a significant dip. It has not been addressed. They did cover it up to prevent leaks, I imagine, which is a good thing. I have spoken with an engineer a couple times, Lou Vignati, about the case. So he was called in to work on it, but we haven't seen any signed and sealed drawings yet, and we were given a pretty straightforward timeline as to when he was paid the 50% deposit. It would be 30 days beyond that to generate the drawings, and then the contractor could submit those drawings for permitting. But I have no idea where that stands
Okay.
currently, but we don't have a permit application submitted for it. This is another set of pictures to show you a little bit better. I don't think you needed it, though. I think the first one showed it pretty well. The violation E, dumpster enclosure, this was rectified. Appears to be structurally unsound, top to bottom crack at southwest corner. You can see that the bottom right picture, that was rectified by the compliance date. Violation G, not compliant. This is one of the four that involve, or one of the three that involves the roof. Roof is missing a drip edge along top and bottom of east overhang. Obviously, if they haven't worked on the roof yet, they're not going to have that in place yet. Violation H, fascia was missing at the northeast corner of the building. That was rectified under a permit that was pulled by Mario Scorpio. Yes. Violation I, dumpster enclosure missing gates, formerly faced northwest. Dumpster is exposed to view from street. That looks fantastic.
Somebody actually put some effort into that one. I'm
Looks like
impressed.
Yes. The violation J, this has not been rectified. As you can see, though the dead plant material that was there before is no longer there. You can see in the top two pictures, the plants that were put into the beds were both insufficient and have now died. There are still a couple living plants in there, but I did speak with a gentleman when I was there at the end of January about the maintenance person on site, about the need for additional plants and the need to keep them alive. And we talked about watering. He was under the impression that you could only water them once a week, but when you're establishing plants, there are different regulations. So
Okay.
hopefully the fix is on the way for that soon. And I did ask him to call me as soon as they're in place so that I could make note of that for the file. I have not been called about that yet. Recommendation for this, as it's a first compliance hearing, is just that with an order number 11, that you find that the property remained in compliance beyond your order date, and that you impose fines beginning from December 23rd and accruing in the amount of $250 until full compliance with said order is achieved. Also, we're requesting additional administrative fees in the amount of $85.53, and there is an affidavit stating those fees and where they were derived in your packet.
Okay. Mr. Williams, do you have any questions of Ms. Hurstein?
I do not. She's very accurate on her
Okay.
circumstances.
Is Ms. Hurstein, are you done with your presentation?
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Williams, is there anything you'd like to present or say?
Just with respect to the permit that we're trying to secure for the roof overhang issues and what have you, that's why I brought Mr. King here. He's the contractor that's going to be doing the work. As she mentioned, I did hire Lou Biscotti, I think that's how I pronounce his last name. He has just finished the plans. Mr. King has them with him. We're going to be pursuing the permit and seeking approval for that to do the reconstruction of the overhang. Just took a lot longer than we anticipated when we first made the request for the time in August, and that's why we're in this predicament right now. We've rectified the other issues that were cited in the code violations.
Okay.
This was taking just a little bit longer, but we're moving as quickly as we can. The contractor that I previously had, I'm not moving forward with him. I thought we should have started with the request for the roof overhang permitting process much earlier. It dragged on, and that's why now I'm having to substitute Mr. King and his company for that service. So we're moving as quick as we can. I just, my purpose or concern is I didn't know what the timetables were set for a second compliance, and I didn't want it to happen too quickly because in my discussions with Mr. King, it seems like it's probably going to take us 6 or 8 weeks to get this permit and 3 or 4 weeks to do the reconstruction of the overhang.
Okay. Well, the issue of a second compliance hearing, first there has to be compliance.
Oh.
And so we can put your second compliance hearing in May or April if you wish. That's not going to affect what's going to happen, the timing of the hearing. What will affect what's going to happen is when the building comes into compliance. So would you like a date in April or May?
I wasn't necessarily asking for a date, I just didn't want it to get set in March or.
Oh, no, 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 we're not going to do that to you.
As quickly as we can.
I understand that. Okay.
Actually, the further out, the better.
Well, Ms. Herstein is very reactive when people have requests for dates and things like that, so, and I understand where you're coming from. I don't know if you heard what I said to the first attorney at the first hearing regarding requesting mitigation of fines and everything. So please keep track of your dates to help me out, okay?
And with respect to those mitigation issues, is it just for the times periods that exist from the time that the order to come into compliance was issued, or can it be dates prior to that that have bearing on?
It's from the very first time that you appeared in, this building appeared in front of me until the day of the second compliance hearing. I have given days off for Jewish holidays, or for Christmas Day, or something that is beyond your control that is very, reasonable.
I actually was referring to any of the circumstance that pre-existed or predated when the hearing in August took place. Is any of that information relevant?
It might be. I don't know what it is, and I'd rather you didn't
No,
preview
it's
it to
not.
me, but I give you really wide latitude to tell me anything you want.
Okay.
If it connects to something I can help you out with, I am more than willing to stretch a little. I understand that what we do here is very expensive, and the cost of it could actually prohibit what we're trying to encourage, and that is to come in compliance. So I do the best I can to help people out once they're compliant.
Thank you, Honor.
You're welcome. Anything else? I'm going to order number 11. Did you receive this sheet as well?
Yeah. go ahead.
Okay, and the $85.53, how long do you need to pay that?
Same period of week that you.
7 days? Okay.
Yeah, the other-
You can have up to 30. I only gave them 7 because they hadn't paid before. And,
But we'll get it paid right away.
all right, I'll give you 30.
Okay.
Okay? All right. Mr. King, was there anything you wanted to tell me?
No, sir, just that I did receive the plans, in fact, while we were sitting in here.
Okay. All right, well, I always take the position if you've bothered to show up, I'll give you a chance to say something. Okay? All right, thank you, gentlemen, appreciate it. All right,
Thank you, Mr. Williams. I did want to
Christine, anything else?
ask the question of Mr. Williams. Do you have the worksheet and the description of an initial hearing, first compliance and second compliance hearing? Do you have copies of those? If you don't, may I ask that as we're at the end of our meeting, that you meet me up at the building department on the second floor of City Hall, and that I give you sets of them right now? It's not.
I'll take you over there.
Great, thanks. I'll see you in just a minute.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Anything else, Ms. Hurstein?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, the next code enforcement hearing will be March 21st, 2024, followed by April 18th, 2024. All right, thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.